couple of years ago, Sharon asked me to co-lead the disciple class, and my first thought was, oh, good gravy, no, because, you have to talk in front of people, and yeah, I don't do that. And I promised her that I would pray about it, and so I did. And the only reason I could come up with not to do it was that it was terrifying, and that's a really stupid idea, or a stupid reason not to do something. So I agreed to do it, and it was fun, and I got a lot out of it. And then not this past January, but the January before, she asked Robin and I to fill in for her while she was away. And again, my first thought was, good gravy, no, because then there'll be a lot of people there, and I'll have to, sound intelligent and stuff, and no. But I promised I would pray about it. And again, the only reason I thought would be a good excuse not to was that I was terrified, and that's a really bad reason. So I agreed to do it, and I found that I really enjoyed it, and it wasn't nearly as scary as I thought, and nobody threw anything at me, so it ended well. And a couple people had made comments about me going into ministry, and I kind of wondered if maybe they should have their head examined or something. But a couple people said it, and so I was like, well, yeah, maybe I'll think about it, but yeah, no. And the more times I heard people say things like that, the more I started to think, okay, well, maybe I really need to think about this, because maybe it's something that God is telling me that I really need to consider. So I did a lot of praying. And the conversation kind of went along the lines of, God, seriously, are you kidding me? And he kept saying, honey, think about it. And so I kept thinking about it, and I thought about, there are a couple different programs, the certified lay minister, and local pastor, and of course ordained pastor. And I explored a number of those things, and I just kept coming back to ordained pastor, and I kept saying, God, really? Seriously? You know what that involves, right? And he just kept putting it on my heart, and finally one day I came early to Wednesday night service, and I spent some time in the sanctuary praying, and a lot of times I make lists, because it just kind of helps me think. So I just had this thought going through my head on the ride over here about becoming a pastor, and I just kept thinking, my heart is saying yes, and my head is saying, good gravy, no. So I made a list, and on one side of the list were all the reasons not to do it, and on the other side of the list were all the reasons to do it, and all the ones on the side for no were all about me. It was that I didn't think I could do it, and I didn't want to leave St. James, and I didn't think I was qualified. And all the reasons on the yes side were all about God, that I love him, and I want to serve him, and I want to do what he wants me to do, even if it's hard, and it's really hard. And so I was looking at the list, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, do I choose what I want, or do I choose what he wants, and who's more important, me or him? And so I prayed some more, and I said, okay, God, here's the thing. If you want me to do this, you have to make it so clear that there's no way that I can see it any other way, because I'm a little bit stubborn, and it sometimes takes a lot to convince me of things. So I was up in the sanctuary doing this, making the lists and praying, and then it was time for Wednesday night service, and I came down, and sometimes the way that Sharon picks the message for Wednesday night is she just opens the Bible and preaches from wherever it opens to. She prays first and asks God what message people need to hear. And that's what she did that night. She opened it, and she started preaching about making the head-heart connection. And I went, oh, because I just spent 2 hours doing that. And it kind of got my attention, but I thought, oh, well, she talks about that a lot, so I'm not going to read too much into that. And then she asked us to take out our keys, and to take one key, hold one key on your key ring. And I picked the church key. And then she asked how God was calling us to serve him in that space, and how he was calling us to serve his people in that space. And I just kind of looked at the key and went, is this a 2x4 going? Because I'm thinking, and my mind was spinning and racing and my heart was racing, and I was like, all right, I guess if this is what you want me to do, this is what I'll do. And I had already talked to my family about it, and they were supportive, although AJ's response was, well, you got potential and you're not getting any younger, so go for it. So, I'm not really sure that was a glowing recommendation, but they're all on board, although Millie's first response was, are we moving now? No. So that's pretty much it. And I feel peaceful about it, and it's hard and it's scary, and the idea of having to get up and talk like this every week is a little terrifying, but nobody's throwing anything, so that's good. And that's pretty much, that's it. Now what?